Today I've got something special for you. It's the Chromaneer produced Evil Dead Rises Show Lut. And I've been working with a lot of footage here. I've been looking at a lot of official film grabs from the film Evil Dead Rises. And I've been building together a show lut, looking at different looks with cool temperatures, warm temperatures. There's a lot of yellow in this film, a lot of desaturation, a lot of cold, scary scenes here, with a soft palette as well. Like you have some soft contrast throughout the film, which is interesting, because generally a horror film will be very contrasty, like starkly contrasty. So let's take a look. Let me just clean off these looks here. I'm going to start from scratch with you. Color, reset, all grades and nodes. Okay, so I'm working in the ACES color space. Very important. These LUTs, this show LUT is only going to work in ACES. I'll create another variation as well for X709 if you'd like that, and for DaVinci Wide Gamut. But for now, this LUT, which will be linked to in the description, you have to be in ACES. So let's look at my settings here. ACES CCT, ACES version 1.3. I have my output transformed to Rec 709. And that's about all you need to know. So make sure you are set accordingly. Now this is footage that I downloaded from ArtGrid. And I'm just going to, why can't I reset? There we go. So very dark image. There's a whole scene here. So these are the accompanying clips. I also have this woman dancing on a rooftop, which, looked kind of scary enough to work with this LUT. And also a shot that doesn't really match the vibe at all, but it's a raw R3D file. And so I can get very accurate colors to reproduce this look upon. And it does a very good job of helping me build this show LUT for you. So let's now take a look at the first scene that we're going to try to replicate. And I'll use this shot here. It's a very dark shot here. And I want to match it off of this clip here. Okay, so that's our reference. So look at the vectorscope. It's kind of a teal and orange vibe, slightly modified, of course. Now, the first thing that I want to do, this is a very dark image, so it has to be brightened up no matter what. Because if I just put the LUT on, let's go to my LUTs here. Evil Dead LUT. So if I put the LUT on right away, she's just going to disappear. Because the shot is so dark, like ridiculously dark. I'm a fan of exposing for a look to be built in post-production, not contrast and all that. Like I think the cinematography needs to think about, of course, color and contrast and ratios and all that. But I find if you expose too dark, it does make it difficult to have any flexibility in post. And there are certain cinematographers that do not have that issue whatsoever. But I think for the majority of people out there, I would expose so you have, for example, at least kind of like just a standard quality exposure on the skin tone. So somewhere around, let's go to our waveform, highlight the qualifier, and just look at the skin here and look at how it corresponds on the waveform. This is after I boosted it. And we're at like 30, 40. That's even a little dark. I would expose like this. So you're still maintaining all the light ratios that you had, the bright key here and the fill and your backlight with the candles. You're not taking away from any of that, but you're just giving more, you're giving solid information to be used in post-production, which can make things a little easier. It can even help you dial in the intended look a little stronger. So let's say So look, now I've modified this image. We throw in the LUT. It's still a little dark. It's a very dark LUT. But let's say that happens. What I like to do to find the perfect scene exposure is use false color. So I'm going to create 3 nodes here. The first node, I'm going to do a color space transform from ACES AP1, which is what I'm in, ACES CCT, over to Rec 709 Gamma 2.4, and then the middle LUT, I'm going to add false color, just the built-in false color. I'm going to switch that over to creative and exposure. And then on the third node that we added here, I'm going to add in another color space transform, and we're going to bring that back to ACES AP1. So input color space is Rec 709, Gamma 2.4, and the output color space is going to be AP1, and output gamma is going to be CCT, ACES CCT. Okay, so very dark. So let's start boosting her up. So I want to just have green coming on there. Yeah. Or is there a low clip 5-band thermal color temperature? What's jet? Okay, yeah, we'll stay on exposure guide. Okay. So I want her face to have green on it. Yeah. That's nice right there. It's a little harsh. So I'm going to, on my second node here, I'm going to just compress it a little bit. I don't like this false color. If you can, you really should look into buying this false color here. It's just awesome because you can do the presets for different cameras that you like. I love using the RE preset. So this is what I want. This is what I want with this RE preset. I want a little bit of the pink shadows coming in. So, sorry, purple. So that's right around, right near the bottom. So you want your black level to be around like 2, 3. And skin you want to have coming in at, say, here, let's dial up the mids a little bit. You want it coming in around 30, no higher than 40. I'll just drop my highs a little bit so I can have a smoother green on the face. Let's try that. I'll disable that. Okay. So our exposure is nice. Now I have designed this LUT to replicate the vectorscope here. It's kind of like a boomerang that's coming in from the oranges and then winding down towards the cyan. And so what I want to do with this image is manipulate the color temperature. So I'll do that on the second node. And I want to cool it down and just watch when it starts to wind. And then you're trying to find a place that feels similar. So I'm going to up the tint a little bit. Going down there. I'm going to dial down my saturation just a little bit. I'll probably finagle that a lot. It's a little too cool. Go back up. That's getting into a good spot. Now, the other thing to pay attention to here, we're not getting the full boomerang effect because in the background, we don't have the cool tones that we're seeing in this cinematography here, which is very high budget, a sophisticated creative direction and set design, which plays very heavily into color palette, obviously. So let's look at skin tones. I'm going to say we get that saturation back in. Okay, so let's mess with the tint just a little bit. That's looking pretty nice to me. Sorry if I spoke off mic. That's looking pretty nice to me. Now, the other thing I might want to do, just to make it look a little more filmic, I'm going to add a new node. I go down to my curves here, and then my hue versus luma, and I'm just going to drag that down. So we're bringing a little bit of density in. Nice, just like that. And you can see we have a lot of noise in this image because it was so terribly underexposed. So what I would do in this case, it's not game over. Actually, that is our, yeah, that's falling apart when we add in our density there. So that's okay. I'm going to create a node with Shift S ahead of the first node, and I'm going to bring on some noise reduction. So let's go to temporal noise reduction, and I'm going to add 3 frames. I'm going to leave motion estimation to faster, and I'm going to dial 9. Wait, I'm going to delink. I want 9 there, 4 on temporal threshold. And then on spatial noise reduction, I want better. I'm going to delink. I want 9 on the chroma. Why can't you be delinked? Okay, faster. Keep it on faster. Okay, so we're denoised. We're also going to have to bring in a little bit of grain after. So we don't want the image to be too smooth. This is what it looks like on the built-in false color. Don't like it. Okay. So now I've got exposure. What do I have here? Saturation, hue, luma mix. The white balance, of course. We've got our density there. Got the show Lut. And now I'm just going to add in a little bit of grain. So I'm going to go to show all, looking at the effects, and I'm going to bring in film grain. And the default setting is a little too high. So I'm going to switch down with the film grain preset, and I'm going to go to 35. That's enough there. I'm going to turn on my render cache, and I'm going to select this clip to render itself, so just so we can have a smooth playback. Because that always helps to really get a sense of how the image feels. Now let's watch that again. Whoa, the heck was that? That's a weird little effect there. That's not me. That's got to be some sort of weird post-production. Is that me? That can't be me. No, it's not me. Weird. Okay, let's let that render again. I'm not sure what the whoever uploaded that stock image. Looks like they were like, am I wrong? It looks like some weird VFX happening there. Yeah, you can see it right along the edge of her shirt here too. Some, I would say, poorly executed rotoscoping. And poorly, I'm not trying to be harsh, but I mean, it was so underexposed, it was ridiculous. But anyways, we pulled it back and let's compare. Here's our shot. Here's our reference. I'm very happy with that. It looks fantastic. What just happened? Okay, now let's go to the next shot in the scene. I'm going to right click, apply grade. And I'm just going to have to do a little bit of manipulation there. Just with exposure, really. I think right around there. Yeah. And let's do this wide shot as well. Now, what am I feeling here? A lot of yellow. So I'm going to go to my, what is now the third node. I'm going to take out some yellow. I'm using my print light keys. I'm subtracting yellow. So that is the period, the dot on the numerical pad right underneath the 3. To turn on print light keys, you go up to color and just make sure you have printer light hotkeys turned on. Okay. Okay, so I'm happy with that. I think our blacks might be a little chopped here. No, there's just, what is it about this image? Maybe we need a little lower contrast in the mids here. So what I would do, I'm going to go to my second node. I'm going to add in some mid-tone exposure. And then I'm looking at my false color. And now I'm going to go down on the offset slider until I see some purple in the shadows. Just a little bit there. And now I'm going to go up on my gamma and then back down on the offset. A little bit of purple, up on the gamma, down on the offset. And now let's see how we're doing there. That's a little better. Gonna add in just a little bit. Oops. A little bit of orange. A little bit of magenta. Tiny bit of saturation. Okay. We're in a good spot. Now let's move on to another shot here. Or perhaps, let me just demonstrate. If we want to get the cool tone, the cool vibe, let's just take our temperature slider. Go down here. And then I want to get rid of that yellow. So I have a new node going to my hue versus hue. And I'm going to select my yellow. And I'm just going to bring that down over into the realm of blue. I'm also going to go to hue versus saturation and just desaturate yellow. And I'm going to desaturate green as well. So quick little things that you can do like that. Now let's go to our next shot here. This is an interesting creative dance on top of a rooftop. I love those. This is okay, this is a Rec 709, but we are in ACES. So I thought this would kind of, mimic those horror scenes where there's not a lot of light and then suddenly a beam of light will highlight something scary. I wouldn't say that she's scary, but it's just kind of a similar lighting situation. So let's create 3 nodes. And another 3 to do the color space transform. So I'm going to go from AP1 ACES CCT, over to Rec 709, Gamma 2.4, and second color space transform is going to go from Rec 709, Gamma 2.4 back to ACES AP1 and ACES CCT. You'll see if we cycle these on and off, there's no change whatsoever to the image. So now I'm going to put on my false color. Great. I'm going to deactivate that for now, and I'm going to add the Evil Dead Show Lut. Now the first thing that I want to do is go back to my first node, activate the false color, and I'm going to go up on my offset. Till there's just a little bit of purple there. And then I'm going to go down on my gain, then up on the gamma. Now let's deactivate our false color. That's nice. So this is before that adjustment, after the adjustment. So just creating a softer image with proper exposure. And you can see we've already got our boomerang in the vectorscope there. Let's go to our second. Let's see. Let's make this more of a... This shot here is the reference. We'll match up the skin tones. So I don't think we're too far away because the Show Lut is pretty similar. Looks like we just have these skin tones are just a little more solid. On my second node here, I'm just going to dial up temperature just a little bit. I'm going to bring in some tint. Magenta. I got to say the right things, don't I? That's it. Got it. Yeah, happy with that. Good to go. Much more contrasty shot, obviously, so it's not going to feel exactly the same, but the skin tones are bang on. Cool. So the Show Lut, for the most part, is going to get you very, very, very close. But depending on your lighting scenario, setup, your set design, creative direction, wardrobe, all that, you might have to manipulate a few things to get as close as possible. Let's try with this individual. So I'm just going to copy and paste this other node layout and then just reset. Okay, so let's apply Evil Dead. Great. Now, I want to focus on her exposure out of the sun. Let's turn on false color. And I like where the shadows are at, so I'm just going to boost up our gamma just a little. Deactivate there. This is a good shot to replicate. Okay, let's go to our vectorscope. My second node here, I'm going to add in some magenta. I'm going to go to the first node again and just bring in some light using the gain slider. And I'm going to desaturate ever so slightly. That's it. So very nice skin tone, replicating what you see in Evil Dead Rises. Cool. So that's it. The Show Lut, not the official Show Lut, the official Chromaneer engineered Evil Dead Rises Show Lut is available in my Instagram shop now. Check it out. And if you have any questions about using it, manipulating it, getting a similar look to this, shoot me a DM or email, and hopefully I can help you out.